We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day, and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more, because we have an appointment with destiny.
All right, Aaron, on to the next division. We've got every one of these are good, but D3 this year features an awesome story in Victory Christian.
Yes.
They also kind of good at basketball, aside from just being great narrative-wise. They got a huge win against Mission Vista, beating them by 30. Rancho Buena Vista gets into the final. The semifinal. That's one of the two games. The other one, we got Ramona and High Tech San Diego. So
a rematch.
We got a rematch. This one also, I think the full enrollment of High Tech San Diego is escaping me at the moment, but I don't remember it being a particularly large school. We could have.
No, it's like 1,000, 1,200, something like that.
Have two very small schools of something that if you just said on paper, oh, Victory Christian, High Tech, which division is that? You'd be like, oh, that's the D5 final. No, that's the D3 final this year.
For real.
I don't think anybody is doubting the validity of that finals game. And granted, this could be in a Ramona RBV, so I'm just hypostulating a little bit, but it feels like these are two really under the radar programs that everyone's like kind of getting to the end of the year and being like, oh, damn. So let's see if they make it there to the finals. Victory Christian, RBV, that's the first one. Who do you got here?
I'm picking Victory. I've kind of stuck with them as my pick from, honestly, maybe since I watched them play against San Isidro back in the fall, and they gave San Isidro a nice run in fall league. You know, obviously fall league, there's a lot of variables. Certain guys don't play. Coaches don't substitute the way they normally do during high school. But the fact that Victory was within like 5 points of San Isidro before they pulled away signaled to me that this is a team that has a great amount of talent and should be able to make it to that D3 final comfortably. I love the matchup between CJ Aldrich and Jaden Gray, though. I think that's going to be, again, a matchup we could see potentially become an open division level matchup in a couple of years with both freshmen.
Pump the brakes, Aaron. You are predicting that both these teams are making it to open division in the next 3 years.
I honestly think if there's a lot that has to go into it, you know, one, Victory has to add pieces around Jaden Gray. Same thing with RBV. They've got some really good sophomores. They got a couple of freshmen on the lower level that are really good. But CJ Aldridge and Jaden Gray are both they both have Division I potential as basketball players. And if you have that in your backcourt, you usually stand a good chance of at least making it to Division I. And if you're in Division I, you know, doing some damage. I should say that this could be a D1 / open division matchup in a couple of years, but I won't back away from that.
I love there are varying degrees of sports level hipster that you can be. And saying that you are all in on Victory Christian potentially being an open division team is you drink triple IPAs, only wear flannel, and do your own compost. Like, you are full-blown hipster with that take. I love it. Ahead of your time, my man. I'm with you, though.
So I'm going to pick Victory because I think that Derek Edmond, who was player of the year in South Bay League, we kind of forget the fact that while Jaden had this freaking amazing year, it was Derek Edmond who the coaches in South Bay felt was the toughest matchup for them. And I think that Aiden Horn versus Derek Edmond matchup, that's where the game will be won, because I think that Jaden and CJ will be spectacular. One of those two guys is going to have to really have a big one. And I think that Derek has proven to be more consistent over the year than the younger Aiden Horn. So I'm going with Victor.
All right, we got another rematch, like you said, between Ramona and High Tech High San Diego. I will let you decide. Are we going with the same? It's hard to beat a team X number of times, or what's the rationale you got?
Here's what I'll say. I love that High Tech High story. I think that it goes back maybe four. Yeah, well, it goes back 4 or 5 years. I remember when AJ was a sophomore, we had to play High Tech at their place in a really weird one-off game, and we beat them by like 60. It was like 99-30. But they had this redhead guard who was a freshman at the time, was Coach Beasley's son, who ended up being a really good player for them. Just finished. He's redshirting at over at Mesa College right now. But from that point on, all they've done is just add a guy here and there, not a bunch of transfers or just guys who naturally matriculated into the program, with the exception of Noah Durab, who transferred out of San Diego High School to High Tech High. And they've just built this tradition of being sneakily good and, being able to spring huge upsets. Like they beat Madison last year and like knocked Madison out of first place in that in the City League. And then and then made a run to the quarterfinals and almost had a chance to make the D3 semis last year. And what did they get for their, for their services? They got knocked down to the Central League, which is the lowest of the 4 divisions, and stayed in Division 3. And all they did this year was go undefeated in the Central League, and now they're in the semis. And Ramona has to go back to High Tech High, which is not a very comfortable place to play. With all that said, Ramona has exceeded all of my expectations. And the reason being is Dalton Norvell, who was a very good player the last couple years, came back from an ACL injury that robbed him of his sophomore year. He has become one of the 20 best players in San Diego this year, in my estimation, averaging over 20 points a game, has been an absolute bucket. And now you have him playing at that level. You have Chase Newman, who has been a 20-point per game guy for the last 2 seasons, the best 6'5" wing player you've never heard of if you don't follow Ramona. But I think the big difference is their supporting cast has grown up. Guys like Carson Ward have really grown into their roles. And I think this is a much different matchup than the one during the beginning of the season. I think Ramona not only wins, but I think they win going away.
Damn. Okay. There you go. That would be a huge reversal from earlier season's results.
61-49, I think, was the score back in back in December.
Oddly specific that game scores, but you probably could take a rough shot at the whole box score too.